I'm standing in a courtroom, watching the man who destroyed my grandson's life try to show remorse he doesn't feel. His expensive suit, his perfectly groomed hair, that practiced expression of contrition. None of it can hide what he really is. 20 months ago, I thought I'd left this world behind. I'd just taken my evening medication when the phone rang. Lisinopril for blood pressure. Metoprolol for the heart rhythm issue my doctor kept calling concerning. At 59, I was supposed to be avoiding stress. The bedside clock read 3:14 a.m. Nobody calls with good news at that hour. Hello? Grandpa? Ethan's voice was barely a whisper. I need help. My grandson was 16. He shouldn't sound like that, small, terrified, like a child half his age. What happened? Can you come get me? Please don't tell Mom. Just, please come. I was already reaching for my pants. Where are you? Corner of 5th and Madison, by the old pharmacy. 20 minutes later, I found him sitting on the curb. The streetlight showed me everything I needed to know. Bruised face, split lip. But it was his eyes that got me. That hollow, defeated look I'd seen too many times in domestic violence cases. He got in my truck without a word. Your stepfather do this? I kept my voice steady, though my hands wanted to shake. Ethan stared at his lap. It was an accident. I shouldn't have. Don't. I gripped the steering wheel harder. Don't you dare finish that sentence. We drove in silence to my house. Inside, I made him sit under the kitchen light while I examined the damage. This wasn't the first time. I could see that now. The way he flinched when I reached toward his face. The old yellow bruises peeking out from under fresh purple ones. How long? I asked. Grandpa? How long, Ethan? He finally looked at me. Since Mom married him. 2 years. 2 years. My daughter's son had been living in hell for 2 years, and I'd been too busy enjoying retirement to notice. We're going to the hospital, I said. They need to document this. No. Mom will find out. She'll say I'm lying. She always believes him. I don't care what your mother believes right now. I care about keeping you safe. At the ER, the nurse documented everything with practiced efficiency. Repeated abuse over time, she confirmed quietly. Grace arrived an hour later, looking at us like strangers. Dad? What's going on? Your son called me. Someone's been using him as a punching bag. She glanced at Ethan, and I saw something flicker across her face. Not surprise, not outrage. Something worse, resignation. Ethan, honey, did you and Vaughn have another argument? Another argument. Like this was routine. This isn't an argument, Grace. I kept my voice level. This is assault. Vaughn wouldn't. He loses his temper sometimes, but he'd never intentionally hurt Ethan. I'd heard that line 1,000 times, from 1,000 different victims. I never thought I'd hear it from my own daughter. Grace, look at your son's face. She did. Then she looked away. These things get blown out of proportion. Ethan probably... Stop. The word came out harder than I intended. Just stop. Ethan sat there silently, and that silence said everything. Next morning, I went to see April Roberts, my former partner, now a detective. I told her everything. Vaughn Blackwood, I said. Real estate developer. Connected. Her eyes tightened. We both knew what that meant. She started pulling files, making calls. 3 days later, she brought Blackwood in for questioning. I watched through the glass as he sat there in his expensive suit, relaxed and confident. Teenage boys act out, he said, barely glancing at the hospital photos. Then, I want my lawyer. 2 hours later, he walked out free, his attorney already threatening lawsuits. Grace was waiting outside. You're tearing our family apart, she said. Your family was already torn apart. You just weren't looking. After Daniel died, I was alone. Vaughn saved me. He's using your grief to abuse your son. I met her eyes. Choose Ethan. Just once, choose Ethan. She walked away. That night, I drove past Grace's house. Through the lit kitchen window, I saw them. Vaughn and Grace, sitting at the table. His hand covered hers. He was talking, earnest and concerned, while Grace nodded slowly. My phone buzzed. A text from Grace. Dad, we need boundaries. Vaughn thinks you're trying to sabotage our marriage. Let the police handle this. I stared at the message. Inside, I could see Vaughn lean forward, his expression so perfectly sympathetic. That's when I knew. The system alone wouldn't be enough. The day after Blackwood's interrogation, Mrs. Helena Cortez from next door appeared at my house. She must have seen the police cars, decided it was finally time to act. Mr. Anderson. She stood on my porch holding an envelope. I should have brought this sooner. Inside, months of security footage showing Blackwood's abuse. I reported it 3 times, she said, face hard. Child Services investigated. Blackwood charmed them. Grace backed him up. Case closed. She gripped my kitchen table. I won't fail Ethan again. Whatever you need, you have it. The DA had been assigned from the start. Child abuse charges demand it. But with the video evidence, DA Marlene Chen decided to handle the prosecution personally. This changes everything, she said, watching the footage. This isn't he said, she said anymore. This is documented assault. We can file charges. Assault, endangerment of a minor. With Ethan's testimony and Mrs. Cortez's documentation, we have a real case. Blackwood was arrested on a Thursday. His bail was set at $1 million. Within 6 hours, he'd posted it. That kind of money was pocket change to him. For 3 days, I heard nothing. Then my phone rang at midnight. Dad? Grace's voice was barely a whisper. Are you awake? I am now. What's wrong? He knows about Mrs. Cortez, about the videos. He's different now. Quiet. Cold. He looks at Ethan like... She inhaled sharply. Like what, Grace? Like he's something that needs to be dealt with. My blood chilled. I knew that look. Predators got that look when they felt cornered. Take Ethan and leave. Tonight. Right now. I can't just... Yes, you can. Pack a bag. Go to a hotel. Call me when you're safe. You're overreacting. Grace, please. I have to go. He's coming upstairs. Click. I stared at my phone, every instinct screaming danger. 2 days before the preliminary hearing, my phone rang at 3 a.m. again. This time, Grace was crying so hard I could barely understand her. He took Ethan. I woke up and they were gone. There's a note. It says if I testify, I'll never see my son again. My blood went cold. Did you call the police? He said not to. Stay there. Lock the doors. I'm calling April. I hung up and immediately dialed April's cell. She answered on the second ring. Blackwood's got Ethan. It's a kidnapping. I'm on my way to you now. Don't do anything stupid, Lawrence. But I was already pulling on my coat, checking my gun. The one I'd kept from my police days, properly registered, properly maintained. April arrived with backup within 20 minutes. They'd traced Blackwood's phone to an industrial area near the old waterfront. April's team set up a perimeter quietly. No sirens, no lights. Phone's still transmitting from inside the main warehouse, one of the techs said. Either he's arrogant, or he wants us to find him. Or it's a trap, I said. April nodded. We go in tactical. Lawrence, you stay with the command vehicle. Not happening. She didn't argue. She knew I wouldn't listen. We approached on foot using shadows. At the warehouse entrance, April's team stacked up, silent and professional. Then we heard Ethan's voice inside. Let me go. April made the call. We went in fast. We found them in what used to be an office. Blackwood holding Ethan by the arm, a gun in his other hand. Stay back. Blackwood's voice cracked. I'll shoot him. April raised her weapon, steady and calm. Put the gun down, Vaughn. There's no way out of this. You destroyed my life, my business, my reputation, everything. You destroyed your own life, I said, stepping into view. The moment you put your hands on a 16-year-old boy. Blackwood's eyes found mine. This is your fault. All of it. You're right. I couldn't watch my grandson get beaten and pretend it wasn't happening. Grandpa. Ethan's voice broke. It's okay, Ethan. Look at me. Not him. Look at me. Ethan's eyes met mine. I saw the fear there, but also trust. Let's make a deal, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. My heart hammered against my ribs. Not from fear, from the medication I'd skipped that morning. The cardiologist had been clear. Avoid extreme stress. Too late for that. Blackwood's eyes narrowed. You look pale, old man. Having trouble breathing? He'd done his homework. You're smarter than this. Men like you don't throw everything away on revenge. Let Ethan go, and we'll talk. For a moment, I thought I'd reached him. His grip on Ethan loosened slightly. Then everything happened at once. Ethan jerked away, throwing himself to the floor. Blackwood swung the gun toward him. April fired. The sound was deafening. Blackwood went down, screaming, clutching his shoulder. April was on him in seconds. I ran to Ethan, pulled him up, checked him over. You okay? He was shaking but unharmed. I'm okay. Then I saw the blood on my shirt. Not Ethan's blood. Mine. Lawrence. April's voice seemed distant. We need an ambulance. I hadn't even felt it. Blackwood's shot, the one I'd missed in the chaos, had caught me in the side. I'm fine, I said, though the room was starting to tilt. Ethan's face swam in and out of focus. Grandpa, no, stay awake. You're safe, I managed. That's all that matters. Then everything went dark. I woke up 3 days later, which the nurses told me was a miracle. The bullet had nicked my femoral artery. I'd lost 2 units of blood before the ambulance arrived. The surgeon said something about touch and go and another 5 minutes. Grace was asleep in the chair beside my bed, her face pale and drawn. Grace. She jerked awake, eyes red from crying. Dad. Oh God, Dad. I'm fine. Where's Ethan? With April's family, safe. She gripped my hand. You died. On the operating table. For 90 seconds, you were dead. I hadn't known that. Didn't change anything. But Ethan's safe. He called you at 3 a.m. Grace's voice broke. My son was terrified and bleeding, and he called you. Not me. She looked at her hands. I knew, Dad. Some part of me knew. I couldn't be alone again. After Daniel. But you weren't alone. You had Ethan. And I traded him for a man who made me feel safe. She finally met my eyes. How do I live with that? By doing better now. That's all any of us can do. I'm filing for divorce, moving Ethan back in with you until I get my head straight. I need time, therapy, to figure out who I am without a man defining me. You're doing it now. That's what matters. Recovery took 6 weeks. Surgery was complicated. Therapy was grueling. Doctors told me to take it easy. Ethan visited every day. Mostly we played cards, watched baseball, existed in comfortable silence. He needed normalcy more than conversation. About a month in, he finally asked, Why'd you do it? Risk your life for me? You're my grandson. But Mom didn't. Your mother loves you. She just forgot how to show it. I looked at him. What Blackwood did, what your mother allowed, that's not on you. You didn't cause it. You didn't deserve it. Ethan nodded slowly. My therapist says the same thing. Your therapist is smart. She says I'll need to work through this for a long time. Probably. But you'll work through it. You're stronger than you think. He smiled, just a little. I knew you'd come. I was so scared, but I knew. Always. No matter when, no matter where. You call, I come. That's the deal. The weeks crawled by. Pre-trial motions. Defense delays. Blackwood's lawyers trying every trick to suppress the video evidence, exclude testimony, paint Ethan as a troubled teen. It took 3 months to finally get our day in court. The trial itself had its challenges. Blackwood's lawyer attacked the video evidence hard. Chain of custody is questionable. Mrs. Cortez, a civilian, held this footage for months without reporting it. How do we know it wasn't edited? Manipulated? DHN had anticipated this. She'd had the videos forensically analyzed, metadata authenticated, continuous timestamps verified. The defense can question Mrs. Cortez's timing, Chen said, but they can't question physics. These videos are authentic. The jury saw what they needed to see. Blackwood grabbing Ethan, shoving him, the violence clear and undeniable. I watched the jurors' faces as the videos played. Disgust, anger. One woman wiped away tears. That's when I knew we had him. On the stand, Blackwood's lawyer attacked me. You wanted revenge for replacing your son-in-law? I wanted justice for a beaten child. You pursued this with unusual vigor after retirement. I followed every protocol. I just gave a damn. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. At sentencing, Blackwood tried to apologize. It was calculated, rehearsed, designed to show remorse he didn't feel. The judge saw through it. Mr. Blackwood, you systematically abused a child in your care. You manipulated his mother. You threatened witnesses. You kidnapped and attempted to murder that same child when facing consequences. She looked at him coldly. This court sentences you to 18 years in state prison. As they led him away, Blackwood looked at Ethan and mouthed, 12 years. I'll remember. April's hand on my shoulder kept me in my seat. Later, I asked Ethan what Blackwood had said. That he'd see me in 12 years, when he's eligible for parole. Ethan's voice was steady. But by then I'll be 28, a grown man. He won't touch me again. He won't. I promise you that. 6 months after sentencing, the city implemented the Anderson Protocol, streamlined child abuse investigations with mandatory video documentation and protected status for witnesses. At the ceremony, April presented me with a plaque. I looked out at the crowd and saw Ethan standing with Grace, both smiling. That's what mattered, not the recognition. Just that smile. 1 year after the sentencing, I drove Ethan to his first day of college, law school orientation. He wanted to be a prosecutor. Following in the family tradition, I said, someone needs to help kids like me. Make sure they're not alone. We pulled up to the campus. Ethan grabbed his bag, then paused. Thank you, Grandpa. For everything. You don't need to thank me. Yeah, I do. You saved my life. Literally. You saved yourself. You called. That took courage most adults don't have. He hugged me, quick and awkward, the way teenage boys do, then headed toward his dorm. I watched him go, seeing Daniel in his walk, in the set of his shoulders. My son-in-law would have been proud. Grace appeared beside the truck. He's going to be okay, she said. He is. Because of you. Because he's strong, and because he had people who finally listened. I'm trying, Grace said softly. Therapy helps. Being alone helps. I'm learning who I am again. Good. Daniel would be proud of him, of you. He'd be proud of you too, for doing the work now. She smiled, sad but genuine. Maybe someday I'll believe that. We stood together, watching Ethan disappear into his new life. Then I drove to the cemetery. I hadn't been since the funeral. Couldn't face it. But today felt right. Daniel's headstone was simple. Name, dates, beloved husband and father. I set my old police badge on top of it, the one I'd carried for 35 years. We got him, son, I said quietly. Ethan's safe now. He's going to be okay. Better than okay. He's going to help other kids. Going to be the prosecutor who actually gives a damn. The wind rustled through the trees. Grace is getting better, too. It'll take time, but she's trying. A leaf landed on the headstone. I brushed it off, remembering the last time we'd talked, the night before the accident. He'd called to thank me for teaching him to be a father. "I hope I'm doing it right," he'd said. "You are." If only I'd known those were our last words. "I'm getting old," I continued. 59 feels a lot older after getting shot, but I'm not done yet. Someone's got to make sure Ethan gets through law school. Someone's got to be there when he graduates, when he wins his first case. I touched the headstone once, briefly. "Rest easy, Daniel. Your son's in good hands. I promise you that." I walked back to my truck and drove home. There was a baseball game on tonight. Ethan would call during the 7th inning stretch, like he always did. The phone rang right on schedule. "How's the game?" he asked. "Tied. Your pitcher's falling apart." "He'll find his rhythm." Ethan laughed, and the sound filled something in my chest that had been empty too long. "Same time next week?" he asked. "Same time next week. Love you, Grandpa." "Love you too, kid." I hung up and settled back to watch the rest of the game. My side ached where the bullet had gone through. It always would. A permanent reminder of that night. But pain meant I was alive, meant I'd been there when it mattered. The pitcher found his rhythm. My team lost anyway. I smiled. Some things you can't control, but the ones you can, those are worth fighting for. It wasn't the retirement I'd planned. Quiet days fishing, watching sunsets, slowly fading into comfortable obscurity. Instead, I got hospital rooms and courtrooms, got a bullet scar that ached when it rained, got a grandson who called every week without fail. I'd take it every time, because that's what love is, not the easy moments, the birthday parties and graduation photos, the hard ones, the 3 a.m. phone calls, the warehouse showdowns, the moments when everything could go wrong, but you step forward anyway because someone you love needs you. Grace was learning that now. Learning that love sometimes means admitting you were wrong, that it means doing the hard work of becoming better. She visited twice a month, had dinner with Ethan and me, talked about her therapy sessions and her part-time job at the community center. "I'm helping other women," she'd told me last visit. "Women like me who chose wrong, who need to hear that it's not too late to choose right." Daniel would be proud of that too. Mrs. Cortez had moved into a retirement community near her daughter, but she sent Ethan cards every month. "Keep fighting the good fight," the last one said. "The world needs more people like you and your grandfather." April made captain last month. She called to tell me the news, said the Anderson protocol was working. 3 kids pulled from abusive homes in the past year because of the streamlined reporting system. "You did that," she said. "We did that," I corrected. The game ended. I turned off the TV and sat in the quiet of my living room. The house that had felt too empty 2 years ago now felt just right. Ethan's textbooks on the coffee table from his last visit, Grace's jacket on the coat rack, photos on the mantle, Daniel and Grace's wedding, Ethan as a baby, the 3 of us at Ethan's high school graduation. A family, broken and rebuilt, not perfect, but whole. My phone buzzed, a text from Ethan. "Thanks for watching with me, even from different places." I texted back, "Always." 3 words, but they meant everything. The next morning, I woke to sunlight streaming through the curtains and the smell of coffee I'd programmed the machine to make. Small routines, normal life. The kind of morning I'd taken for granted before that 3 a.m. call changed everything. I took my medications, the heart pills that kept me functional, that reminded me every day I wasn't invincible. The cardiologist had been surprised I'd survived the warehouse. "Your heart took a beating that night," he'd said, literally and figuratively. "You need to be more careful." But careful wasn't an option when family needed you. I drove to the diner where April and I used to meet for breakfast back when we were partners. She was already there, 2 coffees on the table. "You're late," she said. "I'm retired. I'm allowed to be late." She smiled. "How's Ethan settling in?" "Good. Really good. He called last night during the game. Says his professors are tough but fair. He's thinking about specializing in family law. Of course he is. April stirred her coffee. Kid's got purpose now. That's powerful. He always had purpose. He just needed someone to believe in him. You did more than believe, Lawrence. You put everything on the line. I shrugged. What else was I going to do? Most people would have let the system handle it. The system was handling it, just too slowly. Ethan didn't have time for slow. April leaned back. You know Blackwood filed an appeal? My jaw tightened. On what grounds? The usual. Improper evidence handling, prejudicial testimony, ineffective counsel, his new lawyers making noise about the video authentication process. Will it work? No, Chen's documentation was airtight, but it'll drag things out another year, maybe 2. She met my eyes. He's not getting out early, Lawrence. The parole board will see what he is. 12 years is still too soon. By then, Ethan will be almost 30, established, strong, nothing like the scared kid Blackwood remembers. I knew she was right. But the thought of Blackwood walking free someday, even after 12 years, made something cold settle in my chest. If he comes near Ethan, he won't. Restraining order is permanent, and Ethan will have resources, protection. He'll be fine. I nodded, wanting to believe it. We finished breakfast talking about safer topics. April's promotion, her daughter's soccer team, the new restaurant downtown. Normal things. The kind of conversation that reminded me life existed beyond crisis and courtrooms. When I got home, there was a letter in the mailbox. The return address made my stomach drop. State Correctional Facility. Inside was a single page, Blackwood's handwriting, neat and controlled. Mr. Anderson, it began, I've had time to reflect on my actions and the pain I caused. I want you to know that I'm getting help. Anger management, therapy. I'm becoming the man I should have been. I hope someday Ethan can forgive me. I hope you can too. Respectfully, Vaughn Blackwood. I read it twice. Every word carefully chosen. Every sentence designed to sound sincere. It was garbage. I'd seen too many abusers write letters like this, claiming transformation, seeking forgiveness, laying groundwork for parole hearings where they'd point to their rehabilitation. I tore the letter in half and threw it away. Ethan didn't need Blackwood's forgiveness. Blackwood needed to serve his time and stay away. That was the only redemption that mattered. That evening, I got another call from Ethan. Not the usual baseball check-in. His voice was different, excited, energized. Grandpa, you won't believe what happened today. Try me. My criminal law professor, Professor Martinez, she told us about a case she prosecuted 5 years ago. Child abuse, corrupt officials, the whole system failing. She said it changed how she approached cases. I waited. It was us, Grandpa. Our case. She didn't use names, but I knew. The details matched. She said it reminded her why she became a prosecutor. To fight for kids who had no one else. My throat tightened. What did you say? Nothing. I didn't tell her it was me. But after class, I stayed behind and asked about family law specialization. She said something that stuck with me. The best advocates are the ones who've lived through the system, who know its failures and its potential. She's right. I'm going to be that, Grandpa. I'm going to be the prosecutor who listens, who believes kids when they're scared to speak up, who doesn't let money or connections get in the way of justice. I know you will, because you showed me how. After we hung up, I sat in the darkness of my living room, thinking about legacy. Not the protocol that bore my name or the plaque on my wall. The real legacy. A young man who'd survived hell and decided to make sure others didn't have to. That was worth more than any commendation. The clock struck 9. I took my evening medications and headed to bed. Tomorrow I'd promised to help Grace move into her new apartment, the first place that was truly hers in years. Next week, Ethan would come home for a long weekend. Life moved forward. Scars remained, but they didn't define us anymore. I turned off the lights and climbed into bed. My side ached, a dull reminder of that night in the warehouse. But I'd been there when it mattered. I'd stood between a child and a monster. Some people spend their whole lives wondering if they made a difference. I knew I had, and I'd do it again. Every single time.